someone who's talking over my speaking. We're going to hear from a gentleman who's doing something, I think that's a little bit unique. He's taking on, well, he's not really taking on, but he's in an industry that's full of what I guess you'd call, you can't really call them multinationals, but really big companies that are just doing the let's get 100 different stations together and have them all play the same thing. Geoff, through PowerFM and here in Toowoomba, is offering a different listening experience, I guess the word would be, and one that most of the people in this room would like, because it's music, and it's music that comes from the times that we were growing up. Geoff, would you like to come and tell us all about PowerFM?
Okay, my name's Geoff from PowerFM. We broadcast from 516 Ruthven Street in Toowoomba. We've been there in that studio for just over 10 years, but last 5 as PowerFM. Just quickly go through my early days. I thought when I was growing up I loved music, so I thought maybe a pop star might be on the horizon there. I could become a pop star. That went well, as you can tell. Molly didn't call me. I didn't appear on Countdown. So I ended up working for the Bank of New South Wales, as you do. Then I thought, this is a bit boring after you do the pranks, you know, sending people to the police station to get warrants and up to other banks to get decimal points. I thought, maybe a cricketing career. I play cricket okay. I played great cricket in Wollongong growing up. First grade and junior cricket on the same day. And I thought, I want to play Shield cricket. So I thought I'd move to Queensland, because at that stage they were the worst team in the comp. Tasmania hadn't come in at that stage. But unfortunately, Greg Chappell moved to Queensland at the same time, and I never made it into first grade in Brisbane anyhow. So I thought, I know what I can do. I used to pretend to be a radio announcer at home. We buy all the latest records and compilation records. They're little vinyl things, just in case anyone doesn't remember what they are. And I set up a studio at home and pretended to be a radio announcer. And that turned out okay, and I ended up as a mobile DJ in Brisbane and helped develop Shopping Centre Radio, which is something I'll tell you a little bit more about, and we do now as such. The DJ side of my life brought me to Toowoomba in the late 80s, and I ended up at 4AK. And that culminated being part of the breakfast show 25 years ago with someone you might know, Terry Kerr. Anyone here know or hear of Terry Kerr? Well, he's my current business partner in PowerFM. Terry's been right around the traps, including both. I worked at 4GR, 4WK. I worked at 4AP. He's worked at Stereo 10 and 4BC. And if we fast forward to 1996, I purchased the then tourist radio frequency, which is 88 FM, which is what we still broadcast from, but we're not tourist radio anymore. And we established, or I established at that point, Info FM, which was the tourist info radio station. But I added music to it, so it wasn't just a repeating CD of telling you exactly what was available here to go and look at, repeating itself over and over and over again. So what we did is added Australian music to it, so it had a homegrown feel to it. We moved into 516 Ruthven Street in 2004, in 2004, and changed the name to 88 FM, expanded the music content to include pretty much the format that we do today, which is classic hits from the 1950s right through to even music of today, but we'll get onto that a little bit later. Circa 2010, and Terry decided to come on board as a partner, and we changed the name to PowerFM. I was working out at Kingaroy at PowerFM there, and 4GR bought 1071 and PowerFM and changed the name to CFM out there. So PowerFM was available, and it's the only state left where it was available, so I snapped it up and we own the name in Queensland, so we can expand anywhere in Queensland. We still broadcast from 516 Ruthven Street, and we've added an on-air radio school, which we have one of our students here today. Take a bow, Steve. In 2013, we added Helidon to the network, so we've got a set up down at the Helidon Spa, and we broadcast out of there for that area, Helidon and Whitcott. And we're at the point now where we've nearly got Highfields Kabbalah up and running, and then Gatner's next on the list. And that will do us for a little bit, maybe out to the airport. But that's something that we'll look at. We stream our program through our working website. Just a bit of humour there, you know. And you can log on to powerfmradio.com.au. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/PowerFM Toowoomba. You think I know all that off by heart. And we're part of the community. We, as a sponsor of the Clydesdales, we're heavily into sport, although we are a music station, believe it or not. We're heavily into sport. As I said, we're a sponsor of the Clydesdales, and we're now the official broadcasters of the Toowoomba Rugby League. So we'll be calling every Sunday afternoon footy on Power FM for 3 hours. Pretty much like the radio stations both Terry and I grew up with. He grew up with 4AP. As a kid, I grew up with 2SM. Both stations used to have the music right across the weekend. Come Sunday afternoon, they called the footy for 2 or 3 hours. So that's what we're doing. And we also call the Carnival Parade. We have done it live to air so that people in nursing homes can get part of the atmosphere as such. In more recent times, it's just been a local PA call from out front of Rendezvous, which is something that the Carnival has set up now. Along the way, you'll see 4GR, 4AK, 4WK, us, and that river thing that's not supposed to be here. Oh, sorry, I'm not bitter. All right, radio. I have a passion for it, but I guess if I was to tell you my radio station's a narrowcast radio station, you'll go, what's that? Narrowcast radio station is one of 4 different types of radio. The first one is the national broadcaster, which obviously is the ABC, which includes Triple J, ABC Local Radio, Radio National, ABC Classical, all that ABC stuff. Then you have commercial radio, which of course are the 4 well-known stations here, GR, AK, WK, Hot FM. Community stations, they're usually run by a board and not-for-profit, whereas obviously the commercial stations, as Steve mentioned, is usually part of a massive network as such, but it obviously is out to make a profit. Now the community stations could be anything from a Christian or language-based station or general community, which literally anyone can go. And if you had a collection of Leo Sayer, for instance, and you wanted to play it on the radio, technically you should be able to go into a community station and say, I want to play my Leo Sayer on the air, can you allocate me a time slot? It's that simple. But it's not, that's how it should work. It doesn't always work like that. And that's one of the reasons why Terry and I decided to buy the narrowcast licenses, or boutique licenses as we call them. The only difference between us and a commercial radio is probably our coverage. 4GR covers the Darling Downs. We have to buy 2 or 3 stations to cover the same amount of area. But we also have to have a specialised audience. We chose baby boomers, which no one else seems to be catering. They all think that if you're over 40, you have to listen to talkback radio. Well, sorry, I still rock, and I still want to hear the rock and any kind of music from that era that we grew up with, as Steve said. Other types of narrowcast or boutique radio, limited coverage, which is what we do. We cover Toowoomba City. Special events, it might be for the show. You might set up a special events radio for the Toowoomba show, for instance, so it's only on for 3 or 4 days. But you might have a massive power output that you could cover 2/3 of the Darling Downs with that. Limited by time, so you might only be on the air for 2 or 3 hours a day or something like that. But otherwise, other than that, it's the same rules as commercial radio. We have to, if someone complains about us, we have to try and deal with that in-house. If that doesn't come to a successful conclusion, then it gets passed on to the ACMA, and then they look into it, and then we get wrapped over the knuckles for doing whatever it was we did, which we probably don't know. Jobs are mainly available in commercial radio, and some with the ABC. Occasionally community radio hire managers, salespeople, and to a lesser extent announcers. Whereas we also hire staff. We've got a staff of 5, but some of them are volunteers. Some of it contractors. It's easy for us to do it as a contractor as such. So in all facets of radio, there are jobs available, and that's one of the reasons why we set up the on-air radio school, which was also to help people with voice training, to project your voice so that people can hear you when you do talk. Even at somewhere like here, if you are standing up to give your 30-second spiel about your business, you need everyone to hear you. so that they catch what field you're in and think, oh, I might talk to that person because I need something. So it's always good, anywhere you go, if you can project your voice. And we train that, witness the next bit with you, but we do train that as part of our radio course. The PowerFM group, as it is known now, is made up of a number of different entities now. PowerFM Toowoomba, PowerFM Highfields Kabbalah. I haven't got my glasses on and I'm reading, this is good. PowerFM Lockyer Valley, which includes Helidon and Gatton. Now we also do shopping centre radio, which is Toowoomba Plaza FM. If you go to Toowoomba Plaza, you hear we've created a radio station for the shopping centre with the people that work in the shopping centre saying, hi, I'm Mary, I'm from Rockmans, welcome to Toowoomba Plaza. So it's specialised for that particular shopping centre. We also do the Ridge. We have our on-air radio school, and we do that. We train one-on-one, well, it's actually two-on-one, Terry and I and the student. And then we give you the opportunity to gain experience by going on the air, and that obviously takes you a step closer to having a job because everybody wants you to be experienced and, you know, chicken and the egg and all that kind of stuff. The other thing we've just started is the PowerFM online rock shop, which has got t-shirts from the Beatles, Rolling Stones, Pink Floyd, all those bands and groups and artists that we grew up with. It will expand to memorabilia. We're just trying to get the model right at the moment. As I mentioned, we have a staff of 5, and we're the second most listened to FM station in Toowoomba, behind Hot FM. But Hot FM basically, once you get to 35, you get sick of that. So we're playing a wider variety of music, and a core audience is 30 to 60 as such. And we have around about 12 to 14% of the market, according to surveys done at the City Golf Club and 2 done at the shopping centre, which we didn't do. It was totally independent. We didn't even know they were being done. So we're quite happy with that. We're an alternative to 4GR simply because they specialise in talkback. Their music seems to be a secondary thing, where it's our primary thing. We love our music, and we're consistently updating and finding music from past eras that we'd forgotten about, or it hadn't cropped up, or somehow the computer drops it off the file, which happens sometimes. I don't know how that happens either. Anyhow, I have a passion for radio. I don't know whether you realise that or not, but I do. And just quickly, why should you advertise on radio? Well, I think you should do that because it's portable, it's mobile, it's also passive in the background. You can walk into a shop and hear someone's ad and not even know that radio station exists, which is a case with us, of course. We're still in the process of getting known around the place. The government won't let us be the #1 radio station in town, but that's okay. We're happy with that. We're
Can you explain that? What do you mean by that?
Well, under the rules and regulations of narrowcast, we have to be we'll have to have a specialised audience, or we have to have a limited audience as such. So we're not allowed to be #1, which is fine. You don't. I mean, the silly part about it, Hot FM is #1 with about 25% of the market, but there's still 75% of the market that don't listen to it as such. So it doesn't worry us about being #1 or anything, as long as we have a decent listening audience. Advertising does work for our clients, so that's all that matters to us, is to look after our existing clients, try and grow our audience, yes. And I'm embarking on a marketing plan with Tony and someone else to, again, lift the profile and let people know, particularly about the footy, and about the music as well. It's the most cost-effective way to advertise on mainstream media, which is TV, radio, newspapers. Radio ads generally stay with you, as you don't dial surf as such, as much as you might with television. Or with TV, what do you do when an ad comes on the telly? You what, sorry?
Fast forward.
Fast forward, okay. If you haven't got that technology,
Make a coffee.
make a coffee, put the rubbish out, feed the cat, argue with the wife, as long as it's only 4.5 minutes. But yeah, wash up, anything like that. So the chances of the ad working for you is minimal. It probably will eventually, But if you back it up with radio advertising, it will, because they'll have that familiarity. With a newspaper, of course, you choose whether or not to read the ads. And with radio, as I mentioned, you generally stay where you are and let us create a theatre of the mind so that we can paint a picture for you in your mind of what's happening. We have radio serials like that from the old days, like Chicken Man and The Tooth Fairy. They both are part of our programming.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious.
Well, if you want to listen to Chicken Man, it's on 6:45 Monday to Friday. 88 FM is our frequency here in Toowoomba. 87.8 for the other areas, which are still in their processes of getting up and running. Now, I was going to run something for you, which was the history of advertising in 60 seconds. I'm not sure I can do that
Yeah,
now.
you can't, because you've run out of time.
Have I run out of time? Did I do
We've
that?
got 10 minutes worth of questions.
No one's going to...
Okay,
the questions will be
watch
over in 3 seconds. Okay.
Just redetect you.
Is that right?
Yeah, good idea.
Might have to turn that
Turn
back
that on.
Steve.
You've got to go and turn that back on.
Stop it, mate. Let it come back up. There you go. It's gone green.
Is that good?
Well, yeah, he's just... What's that? Nothing.
I don't know if the sound's going to be very loud. Can you see that?
And now, the history of advertising in 60 seconds. Advertising is as old as the human condition, but branded, product-based ads didn't show up until the 18th century, when print advertising became the norm. In the 1800s, we got the first billboards and ad agencies began to set up shop. In 1891, companies like Kodak began selling their brand, not just their product. Then, in 1908, new companies like Ford staged flashy publicity ads and pioneered the art of looking cool. The soap opera was born when soap companies discovered the popularity of radio dramas among women when they did their housework.
By the makers of Lux Toilets.
Volvo watches made the first television commercial. It cost $9. And when psychologists got involved in the 1960s, focus groups transformed the industry into a calculated science. The tactics got a lot less predictable, and the budgets got a lot bigger. Enter the internet. Even though it looked like this and sounded like, advertisers were eager to engage the growing network of more than 5 million users. By the year 2000, ads were appearing alongside search results, driven by consumer interests. Now, advertising is just part of the conversation. For the first time in history, consumers are able to choose the ad they see based on their own taste. And brands are working with publishers to create content. It's a whole new world. Welcome to modern advertising.
And of course that's good that you can do all that, but if you're in the car you might not be able to, but you can still stream PowerFM and listen to the ads on there via our working website, powerfmradio.com.au. That's it. Any questions at all?
Yeah, when you were saying there, you have about 12-14% of the market, and there's 25%
Yep.
of the market. Why would a person be better off advertising with you as opposed to the other one, 25%?
It's all about demographics. It depends who you want to aim your product at. If you want to aim it at the under 30s, then Hot FM, it's no question, it's a lay down the Z at Hot FM. You do that. If you want to aim at a slightly older market than us, GR, then people closer to the coffin, WK, as such. Sorry. Yeah, and it's a matter of demographics. It's split up like that. Radio's more demographic driven than television, although the 10 network seems to be younger as such. But yeah, radio's more demographic driven than probably any other media. The Chronicle doesn't aim at anyone in particular. It just aims to try and get advertising, and that's what they do. So yeah, and of course then with Hot FM, they'll want all your budget, your marketing budget. They'll want the whole lot because that's the way they are. They're very greedy like that.
How do you gauge your percentage of customers?
Well, as I said, there was individual surveys done. One at the City Golf Club. We beat River in that, and they cancelled River's $7,000 a month advertising campaign. We came equal second with GR, and of course Hot FM won. At the Toowoomba Plaza, again GR and us were neck and neck. Hot FM won that. At the Ridge, we won that with 20%. So the overall average of all those comes to around that 12 to 14% as such. Yes.
I have an interesting comment that once you're over 28, you don't listen to any new music. So whatever age you are, sort of, whatever music was popular for 28 and preceding, that's sort of what you go listen to for the rest of your life. Which for me doesn't quite apply because I found Pandora, and so now I've found so many bands in the last few years, and I've nudged past 28 now. But yeah, I've found so many more bands, and it's been quite interesting that way. But yeah, I guess if you're just listening to radio, I have seen it with my friends and family that they just stuck in the time of 28 and earlier. Do you see that at all?
Well, I think what you're saying is quite correct. We still play some current stuff. We do play Jet, we play some Guy Sebastian, we play Taylor Swift. Anything that suits our format. We don't play rap, we won't play rap. Never in a million years will we play rap. But if you appear in Steve's show in the coming weeks, he'll take you back to another time, and yeah, you'll be able to sort of tell him what your favourite songs were from that era. But you're quite right. Most of us do get stuck in that era. We, of course, music is our business, so we have to be up on anything that might suit our format. We do add if we can. So, yes.
When I scan on your car radio, it comes up 88.5 all the time.
Is it us?
Yeah.
You sure?
It's all static there.
Yeah.
88.
Well,
Scans to 88.5.
you can't individually push it back to 88?
Yeah, I probably can, but then
And then save it?
Yeah.
And then you can press the button, yeah. Look, I don't know. Sometimes weather conditions can determine that type of situation. Unfortunately, probably Tony would be better qualified to tell you a bit more about that.
I can't. So anytime I'm listening, it's through my iPod or my iPhone.
And that's why we stream to counter that.
And that I can get anywhere.
You're better off. Well, in a car radio, you don't have internet connection unless you hook your phone into it. And what's happening? What will happen is car manufacturers now producing their center audio systems without the let's say the intelligence of say the GPS. What that will come from is your Android or your Apple phone. So what's trending there in the technology stakes in a car is that you'll have a radio that basically Bluetooths to your smartphone, and your smartphone will provide radio, audio, GPS, whatever you want. Okay, so you'll have basically a dumb console in your car. It won't have a built-in radio receiver. And my view is that the broadcast spectrum, FM spectrum, will become redundant over the next 10, 15, 20 years because it will be replaced by internet-based technology. Even now, my son doesn't even listen to Hot FM in the car. What he does, gets his Apple phone out, presses his connect button, and he feeds his own music into the car stereo, and I have to listen to whatever he's got on his iPhone. But that now car manufacturers have cottoned on to. So with your radio though, you're probably on the fringe of their transmission area, and what you're getting is competing FM radio stations. It's called capture effect, and your FM discriminator in your radio hunts for the strongest signal. And if it can't tell which one that is, it'll flip between a number of broadcasts.
I agree with Tony. Phones, tablets, computers, they're the transistors of tomorrow. So we used to take a transistor to the beach when we were young and listen to whatever radio station was our favourite one.
You know it shows your age when you carry a transistor like that, don't you?
It's portable. I've got one. My dream is to open a radio museum in the Lockyer Valley, actually, with an old studio in it and a few old radios, a little theatre with a little program called Thanks for Listening, which is the history of Australian radio, which is very fascinating. Well, for me it is anyhow. Probably not.
Jeff, can I say
talking to the trucking people.
Ideal for you for a quick straw poll. Before Geoff come along, I know that there's been some conversation about PowerFM because some of us advertise on it, but how many people in this room actually knew of PowerFM's existence or had listened to it?
I did.
Before? So how many? 1, 2,
So we're looking at half of us.
6, about half, about 50%, yeah. One of my arguments to Geoff is that as a narrowcaster, it's a very open, loose licence. So there's lots of latitude in there, I think. And I think that Geoff and Terry are really well placed to take advantage of internet streaming so that becomes their main mode or route to market.
Yep.
Actually, tonight.
And they have 9,165 listens on their stream. So what that means is that someone has listened. If it was the same person, 9,165 listens. That's unique IP addresses that have logged on to their stream, either on their website or on the hosted radio, it's called XLR, which their stream plays out on as well. And that's international as well as Australian.
How long a period was that over?
Well, since that's been going, which was about October, November last year. So the nice thing about it is that they actually can tell, with internet streaming, you can tell how many listeners are listening right now and how many people have listened at some over the period of time you've been streaming. So you actually have a real statistic for your audience.
And can you tell where those people are listening from?
Only when they email me from Russia and say, "Hi, like your radio, send me pom-pom, please."
Right.
That's what they do.
You can tell which country they're from the IP address range, but it tells you, and this is important for his advertisers, is that he can tell his advertisers, look, we have an audience of this many listeners, and and you can see at different times of the day as people log onto the stream how many concurrent listeners you have at any given time, which is really important for knowing when to advertise.
The other thing too is that we have contacted people outside the area and asked them to advertise with us while watching whatever the story, accommodation at the coast. And now we say, log on, have a listen, see what you think, whereas in the old days we couldn't do that. And we can be number one internet-wise and forget digital radio. That's going to either take 20 years to come in.
You picked up a customer in Harvey Bay because they said they wouldn't advertise with you because they couldn't hear.
Well, what they did is they had a listen, liked it, and came back and signed up. So, yeah. And it happens.
We have run out of time.
Oh, good. Okay.
Good. Thank you very much for that. We do appreciate it.